Greetings students. Today's class is conducted by Satyaki Chakraborty, Indraprastha Law College, Greater Noida, UP. Today's subject is Jurisprudence 1 and the topic of the day is Sources of Law. And this is particularly meant for LLB first sem students and BLLB fifth sem students. So, let us see what are the basic sources of law. Firstly, there are various sources of law, and today we'll see to it what are the particular and the basic sources. Number one, different writers have given different views regarding sources of law. So, when we see the sources of law, we see different writers or different philosophers have given different sources of law in accordance to their own perspective. Secondly, when we talk about sources of law, it talks about the sources from where the law emanates. And by that, what we tend to mean is that we tend to understand what are the origins of law from which the particular law has originated or emanated. Thirdly, also it states from which law it derives its force and validity. It also talks about not only the origin but also the source, the validity, and the force from which the law has evolved or emanated. Lastly, according to Fuller, sources of law include material from which the judge obtains rules for deciding cases. It includes statutes, judicial precedents, customs, jurists, etc. Now, we see that different philosophers have given different sources of law. For example, today we'll be discussing about two of the best philosophers in the grounds of jurisprudence. One is by Austin and the sources of law given by Salmon itself. Although various philosophers belong or jurists have given different sources of law, but particularly we will be discussing Austin and Salmon today. So in accordance to Austin's classification of sources of law, he said that number one, direct authority. It means immediate or direct authority of law, which means the sovereign in the country. Secondly, historical document. It refers to all the historical document from which the body of law can be known. Causes that brought into number one, existence, the rules that later on acquire the forces of law. Example, customs, judicial decisions. Thirdly, equity. So please remember that equity or conscience also plays an important role in the sources of law. And when we talk about forces of law, by forces of law or validation, we mean the customs and the judicial decisions or precedents. So these are all comes under the purview of historical document. Now Salmon classified sources of law, and in accordance to Salmon's classification, the sources are number one, formal sources. Formal sources is that from which rule of law derives its force and validity. For example, will of state, and manufactured in statutes, decision of the courts. Secondly, material sources. Material sources are derived the matter which are not the validity of law, and matter of law can be drawn from all material sources, and by material sources what we tend to mean is legislation and customs et al. Thirdly, material is further subdivided into legal and historical sources of law. Now, by formal sources can be further subdivided and includes number A, legislation, supreme and subordinate, that is executive, judicial, etc. Number B, judicial precedents, and by judicial precedents we mean original, declaratory, authoritative precedents in the domains of law itself. Lastly, we see treaties. Material sources also refers to various processes which results in the evolution in the material, which are constituents in law. It includes a legal source such as case laws, customary laws, statutes, and historical works. So what we tend to see is Salmon's classification has been underneath two sources. One is formal source and another is material source. So material sources are also subdivided under various classification. So is formal source. And further material sources are subdivided. What we tend to see is under legislation, judicial precedents and treaties. So what we tend to see is the major function of law. The major function of law talks about or aims at to deliver justice, to provide equality and uniformity, to maintain impartiality, to maintain law and order, to maintain social controls, to resolve conflict, and lastly, to bring orderly change through law and social reform. So these are the major functions or major aims of law that a particular law tends to derive or tends to create an outcome. So students, please remember, when we talk about the sources of law, we also need to understand along with the sources what are the scope of law, because with source tend to come the scope. Today we discussed about Austin's and Salmon's classification of sources of law. In the next class, we will be discussing in brief about the major functions of law. Although I have given you the points, what are the major aims of law and what does a law tries to achieve, but along with this, when we further study the scope of law, we will also tend to see custom as one of the important sources of law. Custom is a certain practice which has been professed and practiced for a period of time by a particular group at a particular place, and finally it takes the shape of a customary law when a legal obligation tends to be associated with it. So custom is one of the most ancient of all sources of law and held as the most important place in the past. Custom is a habitual course of conduct which is observed uniformly and voluntarily by the people concerned. Please do remember that custom is a habitual course of conduct which is observed uniformly and voluntarily by the people concerned. No custom shall be a force of law if it is in manner violates the fundamental law. And there are of course two kinds of custom. One is conventional and another is legal custom. So in the next class we will be discussing about the customary laws and custom as a source of law and what are the scope of law. Okay, so for today this will be it. Thank you.